So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. We want them to fail. That's what you're saying out there. That's what Americans are saying right now is well, next time you'll vote the right way, or that's what you get for who you voted for. That, to me, I want to say it doesn't sound very American of people, but here lately, that's all we're doing is complaining. The last thing I want is an American business to fail. I don't know how much more we're going to see for the next 3 or 4 years. Last thing I want is an American farmer to go under, because us as Americans didn't want to do anything to support them. I don't care what side of the fence you're sitting on in this. The last thing we need is our land to be gobbled up by our corporate people to lease it out to another country so that they can come in and do what they want on the soil. Think about it, people.
For decades, we've been told that we can't feed kids free lunch because that's socialism. We've been told that we can't give partial credit towards college scammy loans because that's socialism. We can't have universal health care. Your Nana can't get the cancer treatment that she needs because Medicare for all would be socialism. We can't feed and help the homeless because of socialism. Everything that doesn't benefit you is socialism. We've been hearing this about everything that would be good for society for decades. And the second that you need a helping hand, it's a necessary thing. It's not just, guys, this is actually good for everybody. That's why I need that money. I voted for you. You voted against me. I voted so that you could stay in business and get the help you needed. You voted to hurt people that didn't look like you. And that's why I hope you have the day that you voted for. And I hope you get everything you voted for that we told you was going to happen. This is the America you wanted. You said it's not very American. You voted for this. You voted for this, and now you're getting what you voted for. And I'm sorry that you're not smart enough to have actually looked into what we told you was going to happen. Have the day you voted for.
So the people who say no handouts just lined up for a handout. Now tell me why farmers in Arkansas are standing outside with their hands out again, begging Uncle Sam for money. See, when it's regular people struggling, rent too high, groceries too ridiculous, can't afford health care, the answer is always from these people, stop complaining, stop asking for handouts, and pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Farmers in Arkansas are crying out to the feds for stimulus money like it's open mic night. And look, I get it, because times are hard everywhere. But when you plant your crops, raise your cattle, take on the risks of farming, wasn't that a personal business decision? So why is it on me and you to make sure that that decision keeps paying out? Because see, when you and I make bad decisions, government doesn't cut us a check to make it right for us. Now, let's connect the dots here a little bit. These are the same people voting for the same politicians who say government is the problem. Yet as soon as the tractors stop running and their profits dry up, government magically turns into a solution for them. Ain't that funny and ironic? The question is, do we owe farmers any help? Or do they need to practice what they preach? Figure it out. Tighten that belt. Leave taxpayers out of it. Because last I checked, it's really not our problem to fix somebody else's gamble.
I need all the farmers for Trump to come to the front of the class, because I hear you're asking the rest of us for money because Donald Trump's tariffs are going to financially ruin you. And what's so funny about that is, didn't Donald Trump and his tariffs bring you to the brink last time? Because he got you into a trade war with China. And now China is basically cutting off corn, soy, all agricultural products, and they're looking to other places like Canada, Brazil, anywhere else they can get agricultural products, and U.S. farmers are the ones left holding the bag. There's a soybean farmer that's been making the rounds here, and he's saying, I voted for Donald Trump 3 times, and I was glad to, and I like his policies, but these tariffs are hurting us, and I need you to stop this, Mr. President. And they're asking us for another bailout, the taxpayers. Another bailout because they decided to vote for Donald Trump for a 3rd time. That's a fuck around and find out, my friends. And I'm not here to help financially support these people. They want to bitch and moan, all these people on the right, about people being on welfare and people needing handouts. And well, farmers, wear those bootstraps that you guys like to talk about all the time. Why don't you find them and pull yourselves up from them? Because we are tired of bailing you out. I understand that if you don't get bailed out and these tariffs ruin you guys, it's going to have a huge impact on the rest of us. But I knew that before the election. I knew that when I was stumping for Kamala Harris and telling people not to vote for Donald Trump. So you're fuck around and find out. I hope it's a little more personal because you guys decided to continue to vote against your own interest and cut off your nose to spite your face, it's time you sit in it for a minute.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. We want them to fail. That's what you're saying out there. That's what Americans are saying right now is well, next time you'll vote the right way.
Sir, how do y'all pray publicly the other day for God to take pity on you, but you don't take pity on the people who asked you not to vote the way that you did? How do you not see the problem here? How do you ask for empathy, ask for pity, ask for sympathy from the general public, and the general public is clapping back and telling you, like, well, what can we do? You all asked for this. You literally asked for this. He said what he was going to do. This is not something he lied about. This is what he said he was going to do. In the rare moment, he told the truth, and he's doing it. And the lie was that other countries would pay, but you knew. You're smart. You have degrees. Some of you have masters and more. You know science. You know math. You know things. You know business. You knew that he was lying about other countries paying the tariffs. You knew that that was going to have to come back on you. And you knew that there would be a risk that other countries would not want to buy from you because they don't want to deal with the country anymore because of tariffs. And here we are. Presumably, you know the Bible and the verse of Deuteronomy that says, I call forth heaven and earth today to bear witness that I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore, choose life that you and your seed may live. And you all chose death. You all chose cursing. I'm not going to say you're living under a curse, but I am going to say you're living under consequences of your decisions. So you're not dumb. And I guess you thought either you're going to get a $28 billion bailout like the first time, or you're going to cash in and have a windfall off of those tariffs. But as is evidenced by even billionaires, and some of y'all thought like, oh, I'm a white man, I'm different. He's not going to get rid of my labor force. He's not going to send ice for my farms. Have fooled you. And you're like, I'm special, I'm different, I'm a white man. He's a white man. He's looking out for us. He doesn't look out for anyone but himself. As evidenced by billionaires sounding the alarm that man is ruining the economy for everyone. So let's recap. You have some knowledge of God enough to pray for him, at least in your last ditch attempt to save yourselves, your money, really, not even yourselves. You're not dumb, right? So it's two things. The only other thing I'm left with is that within your heart, soul, spirit, and the marrow of your bones is the infestation of disgusting racism. That is in your heart. That is who you are. And instead of you choosing to work on it and decide not to be it, because it actually affects everything, and as we were telling you, it's expensive and nobody survives it in the end. It ruined the country once. It ruined the world once. But y'all are not dumb. You could have paid attention, but you said maybe this time it'll be different. It never works out. You didn't choose life, you didn't choose blessings, you chose death and curses. And now your seed, your literal seed, is going to die. Well, it might not die. It might be sold off for pennies on the dollar along with the land to Monsanto. So get those contracts drawn up, baby. You can't be saying that you know God, believe in God, and love God, and have none of God's love in you, and then stand up there and say, on Judgment Day, I want to answer for how I voted. How are you going to answer now? God can get you out of situations you put yourself in, but sometimes a hard lesson has to be taught.
It's Joe from Georgia. So another state is in the news about collapsing their farming industry, and it's the great state of Arkansas. They held meetings in Arkansas this week with the farmers because of the dire situations that they are in, because folks, they're not being able to sell their products. They have money in the ground, but they can't get any money out because the United States government, which had guaranteed them certain things, were lost in the big, beautiful bill. Well, in these meetings, it has been said that if an emergency bailout, which is what the farmers are asking for, folks, they're asking for a bailout in Arkansas, that 1/3 of them will file bankruptcy. Hundreds of millions of dollars going into bankruptcy. So you're going to have these people who generational wealth will be totally wiped off the map in the state of Arkansas. But here we go again, another state that overwhelmingly supported the president in his race. And believe it or not, there are still 70% of those farmers will say they believe in the tariffs that are putting them into bankruptcy. Folks, when those type of things are happening in your life, you've got to ask yourself, would I have thought this way 10 years ago? And I'm going to say pretty easy, the answer is no. You're not going to worship the thing that's bankrupt.
It's Mamaw, and welcome to my porch. Well, I'm hearing a lot about these farmers that are upset that this is not what they voted for and they need help, they need bailed out because Taco in 8 months' time has shut down USAID, which bought a lot of our farm goods. They have really reduced SNAP benefits, which is under the Department of Agriculture. So we've done a lot of things to hurt farmers. Now, I am 100% behind. If we have a drought, we have flooding, we have tornadoes, we have any kind of massive weather event, even the war in Ukraine where the world is being reduced of grain, that we should kick in and help out. I'm all for that. Absolutely. What I'm having heartburn with is why we would bail out farmers who voted for Taco, who every farm in this area, they had Farmers for Trump signs out. Absolutely anything he wanted to do was fine and dandy as long as they thought they were screwing the other guy. Because what we have now is them crying, well, we didn't vote for this. No, honey, this is exactly what you voted for. And now it's coming back to get you. Remember, karma. Whatever you wish on somebody else is going to come and get you. We have food rotting in the fields because we don't have farm workers. They're afraid of ice. This is all related. So we already give farmers farm subsidies to not farm. In fact, a lot of corporate farmers and big conglomerates that get together to buy land file their property in as a farm subsidy, or what they used to call soil bank, and the government makes their payments for them. So now they're not happy. Well, you just remember, all of you who are members of the Farm Bureau and your grain associations, or the American Cattlemen's Association, or Beef Association, or pork farmers, you just remember, this is exactly who you endorsed. This is exactly what you voted for. And these tariffs and things, this is exactly what he said he was going to do. You just didn't think it was going to affect you. Stay salty and use your outside voice.
As a black farmer, I hear white farmers ask all the time, where is all the money for farmers? Well, let me tell you, white farmer, where all the money went. It's in the poppy fields of Afghanistan, in the oil fields of Iraq. It's also in the jungles of freaking Vietnam. That's where it's at. It's exactly where you keep voting for it to be. It's in Israel. Did you know that in Israel, there's an NYPD headquarters in Tel Aviv? Why in the hell is an American police agency in a foreign country? You know, your tax dollars, your farm money is being loaded in 155 meter shells for Ukraine right now. For white on white crime in Europe between Putin and Zelensky, which has nothing at all to do with me, but I'm paying for it. And that's where all your money is going for. It's going towards whatever you keep voting for. So it's called karma. You're suffering it right now.
It's not my responsibility as a taxpayer to bail out your farm because you don't understand how a tariff works. On my list of people I don't feel sorry for today, the farmers. Don't feel bad for you. You voted for this. He campaigned on tariffs. He told you he was going to do this. And it's not our fault that you don't understand how tariffs work. We tried to tell you. So now, when your soybeans aren't being bought by China because of tariffs, and the soybean market crashes like everything else in this economy, we tried to warn you. So stop congesting town halls asking for government handouts and bailouts, because not that long ago, you were telling all of the essential workers and the healthcare workers who were asking for student loan forgiveness that you took the loan out. You pay it back. It's not our responsibility as taxpayers to pay your student loans. I hope you have the day you voted for.
So for those of y'all who've been keeping up with recent events as it relates to the farmers, right? We talked about Nebraska, and then we talked about Iowa, and all of these farmers, are losing their minds because they're losing their farms, and, they're scared. Well, let me tell y'all what I heard today. So the lobbyist groups for the farmers are proposing another bailout of $16 billion. The last time syphilitic Sid did this in his first administration, they received a whopping $24 billion in bailouts. Well, this time around, syphilitic Sid said he doesn't know if he can do that. He's not sure that that's something that they can accommodate. Look, I love the farmers. The farmers are wonderful. They farm, right? They farm. But, we're trying to cut fraud and waste and a lot of unnecessary spending. So now these people and their lobbyists are trying to get bailouts. But what I want to understand is, what happened to you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps? What happened to we voted for him because he's a great businessman? What happened to we're going to put our trust in him because he's going to help us? Help y'all do what exactly? Lose your farms? Yes, that part. Because you know who invests in these companies that buy up bankrupted farms? Your vice president. So, to all you farmers that voted for this, thinking it was going to be like the last time and he was going to give y'all a bailout and y'all would get those subsidies to support yourselves and your farms and your families, it's not coming. Not this time around. It's not coming. You can just forget it. So, I wish you well. I hope it works out for you. Maybe, somebody can whisper in his ear and change his mind. You might want to reach out to Ivanka because she's his favorite and he listens to her, I guess. But they're not really speaking, ever since the insurrection. But I don't know. This is just word on the street. It's just gossip, but you didn't hear it from me. But, good luck.
So I've seen a lot of people on here posting about the farmers wanting a bailout and not caring. And the level of callousness that I've seen is amazing. This is what we need. No more when they go low, we go high or whatever. Whatever she said, I don't care. Keep it up. Heartless, cruel. Look, remember, those people who are heartless and cruel to you, it's okay to be heartless and cruel back. It doesn't make you a bad person. Turn the other cheek is some bullshit, okay? We've been turning cheeks. We're out of cheeks. You hit these, there's no more cheeks. Maybe we're out of cheeks. So keep it up, because I think that you're all right. I think that they did vote for this. I think that they didn't care as long as it wasn't them that was getting hurt. And now that they're getting hurt, they want us to help them. And you know what? No.
Farmers in the United States are now saying that they need a bailout, and they're asking the Trump administration to provide it to them on the backs of federal income tax. Now, they did the same thing during Trump's trade war with China in 2018 and 2019, and that resulted in a $23 billion payout to farmers in 444 counties that are farming dependent in the United States, or $63 million per county. Now, farmers across the country fully support Donald Trump, and in those farming dependent counties, all but 11 of them went for Donald Trump. So 433 counties voted on average 78% for Donald Trump. Now, these same farmers in these same counties are now saying we need a bailout from the federal government because of climate change, which some of them still don't believe in, and Donald Trump's tariffs and a worsening economic thing. With one farmer in Texas saying he used to sell his sorghum across the border to Mexico, and now there's no reason to because the economic policies make it too expensive and not competitive there. So how do you feel about bailing out farmers once again when they knew what they were voting for, when they cast their ballot for Donald Trump and just assumed that once again they would get a bailout in billions of dollars, all because they're farmers and Donald Trump likes them?
I'm so glad you asked that question. Not out loud. Not out loud. If you go on here, you'll see the videos for Arkansas farmers. One guy literally, as they're asking for government handouts, which one of my favorite comments on that video was, if I can't get my student loans forgiven, why should I have to bail out your farm? Which, I'm involved in farm. I work in farming, and also, so, but that guy, the farmer, the Arkansas farmer, he said, specifically, the tariffs are making our goods that we're growing and selling more expensive, too expensive now. So these other countries are getting their soybeans and their corn and stuff from Brazil, from elsewhere, because of the tariffs. Did he say Trump's tariffs? No, he did not. And I live in Washington State. It is Democrat run, 100%. But I, working in farming, had the opportunity to go to my local farm bureau meeting where it was like a local election thing. But I was asked to present some information about my farm and that I work at. I don't own it. But they had a couple of Republican representatives, because Republicans, farmers, they're giving kind of an update on the things. Now, Washington State is unique in that we don't have an income tax. We are sales tax or property taxes. That's how we make our money. Rightfully so, there is a lot of frustration, as expressed by these Republican state representatives, that farmers are having to pay more taxes to pay for things in the state because we don't have a state income tax. And they always blame the Democrats. Democrats are not without blame. They have control, right? But they never say tax the rich. They just blame Democrats for raising the taxes on the farmers. Well, the taxes have to come from somewhere, right? And I absolutely think Democrats should be taxing people more. But Republicans themselves could say, we need to help out these small farmers. Why aren't we taxing Boeing, Expedia, Amazon, Starbucks? We have big companies here in Washington State. We are tech. We are tech or farming here in Washington State. And never once in that Farm Bureau's meeting that I was at was it, we need to find other places. We need to raise corporate taxes. We need to have a billionaire tax, of which there are many here, or some here, many millionaires here in the Puget Sound area. But they just blame the Democrats. And so it will never lie with Trump, because in Arkansas, they voted for him. 62% of farmers voted for him, and they will now lose their farms. A lot of them will lose their farms, which is not a problem for the tech bros and the corporations, because Jeff Bezos's land acquisition arm, or whoever, they'll just come in up and buy that farm, and those farmers can work there fixing the tractors or whatever, because this is what, and I don't actually wish FAFO on farmers. I don't know how they're going to get out of this. And the hypocrisy of taking as many government subsidies as farmers do, while also shitting on individuals who accept SNAP and other subsidies like that and safety nets is not lost on me as a progressive liberal person who also works in farming. I really wish they would blame the right people, but that's just the story of America.
It's amazing to me how all of a sudden that particularly the farmers across the United States are fully understanding of how tariffs work. I mean, they couldn't get it through their thick skulls in November of 2024 how tariffs operated, but now they do, and because they're being harmed by these tariffs, they need government handouts. Now they love socialism, and they want all this money from the government to help their farms because the president has instated tariffs on their crops that are being sent to other countries like China in particular, with the soybeans. And, you know, I just wish I had some sympathy, but I'm fresh out. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Figure it out. Go hire some Caucasian people that live near you. This is what you voted for. This is what you get.
So farmers are the backbone of this country. There is no denying that. They produce the food that eventually gets put into the stores that you and I buy and put onto our plates when we eat dinner with our family. But the farmers in Arkansas right now are having a bit of an issue because of the weather conditions, like all the flooding, and the high costs of everything that were already existent before Trump became president. But now the tariffs are affecting them even more because, believe it or not, farmers' equipment, like their tractors and everything else, they get their parts to repair them from foreign countries. Even John Deere has a supply chain in China. And specifically these farmers, they were one of Trump's biggest demographic support groups. All of them, if not the majority of them, voted for Trump. And now they're asking for a government handout because his tariffs are affecting everything. They're asking him to help them. They're asking him for equal share of companies across the board, for private corporations to be out of the picture and let them run all the stock options. And I'm sitting over here like, that's fucking socialism. You want equal everything for everybody. That's socialism. And that's something you guys said was bad. So I need y'all to bend over, grab them bootstraps, and pick your fucking selves up, because this is the shit you fucking voted for. No pity for me at all.
I tell you what, if the federal government caves in and gives these whining white farmers in Arkansas and all over the country welfare checks that they are crying and begging for because they are dealing with the consequences of their vote, then I hope that the National Black Farmers Association gets together and files a class action lawsuit against the government, just like those white farmers did in 2021 in order to block stimulus aid to black farmers. They sure did. They filed a lawsuit in 2021, white farmers, including those in Arkansas, to bar the federal government from giving a $4 billion stimulus package to black farmers and farmers of color because they felt it was reverse discrimination and it was unconstitutional. Well, if the federal government turns around and gives them money, then yes, National Black Farmers Association, please get together and file the biggest lawsuit that you can against the federal government. I've tagged John Boyd, who is the founder of the National Black Farmers Association, in this video. You all please go follow him, learn more about the National Black Farmers Association and how you can help them fight for economic justice for our black farmers. Thanks, y'all.
Today in Trump's America, small-town farms in Arkansas are begging for welfare. They can't sell their soybeans to China. Who knew that so many farmers were making $10,000 an acre from China? Who knew? But instead of pulling up their bootstraps, they're going for welfare. They're going for subsidies. They're going for American handouts. Just mere months after saying, we don't support welfare programs, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, cut everything to these LGBTQIARSTUV people. Pull up your bootstraps, Arkansas. Sell something Americans want to buy. Talk to your man Donnie Darko about the Department of War, because hell, they might be coming to your town soon. He might be bringing the National Guard to Arkansas and you won't have any farmland left anyway. Look, folks, Donnie Darko is destroying America, and if you can't see it, it's a part of the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025. Go look it up. It's a blueprint. Donnie Darko is following it to a T.
You know, that clip of that farmer is really going viral, of him saying, you know, I don't want to take a check, but we got to have checks because I don't want to go bankrupt. Listen, it's impossible to feel sympathy for people who voted against their own interests, especially when It was written in plain English. All they had to do was the most basic fucking thing, which is read Project 2025. But we were all alarmist, and he wasn't going to do that, although he's doing every fucking last bit of it. In Project 2025, it specified that it was going to eliminate subsidies to small farmers. The mentality behind agriculture related to Project 2025 is get big or get out. So all these small farmers are going to go out of business. That's part of the plan. It is part of the plan. And the big farms are going to come in and take over. And then we'll all be fucked. Again. So I have no sympathy for them. Zero.
Farmers had two choices in the 2024 presidential election. The man who's going to get us into a trade war with our allies and cause farmers to lose money, or the candidate who was going to give farmers crop insurance and expand trade so that farmers had more markets to sell to. Now they want bailouts from the government because they're about to go bankrupt. This is part of Project 2025, letting the big multinational billion-dollar corporations take over the small family farms. Now they want handouts because they're about to go bankrupt. I guess they hated immigrants and liberals more than they liked having food on the table.
So everyone's talking about the farmers in Arkansas that are begging for welfare and a government handout and a bailout from President. Well, I don't think you guys are acting so sure that they're not going to get it, and I'm trying to figure out why are y'all so sure that they're not going to get it, because I think that's exactly what they're setting up to do. I think that these people have direct connections to Cotton Picking Tom Cotton. They have direct connections to him, and I think that this is the whole point, the whole reason, like they're getting together and whining and crying about it, and then they're going to send them all, they're going to steal money and give it to them, and they're going to also be looting and find ways to launder it and send it to themselves as well. Like they're going to have their friends and family and send millions of dollars to them. Like, y'all got to be one step ahead of these folks. Like, so many people are saying, oh, they're not going to bail them out. They're not going to get a bailout. I think that's exactly what's getting ready to happen. Just give it a couple of months or something. Maybe not even that long, because there's no way I just don't see it happen in today's politics and climate to where they are bending over backwards for those type of people and literally cutting off any minority groups, any brown, black people. They are cutting everything off, any type of funding, any type of help, anything. They're just getting rid of it for black and brown people. So I think, you guys might want to hold your breath a little bit, or don't. How does the saying go? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're probably about to just give away millions of dollars to these people and to themselves too, because they're definitely going to be stealing that money. There's always going to be a lot of fraud in situations like this. They'll definitely have their friends and family sign up and say they're farmers and probably give them millions of dollars or something.
Those Arkansas farmers crying up and down the timeline are killing me, because they just discovered that racism and hate is very expensive. You voted for Trump for no reason, because you could have taken 2 seconds out of your day to look up the policies that would directly affect you. As a farmer, why are you voting for somebody that's going to implement the stupidest tariffs? Why are you voting for somebody that is gutting infrastructure? Why are you voting for somebody that is going to have your land basically taken? I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to afford that farmland anymore, and it's going to be scooped up by all these tech companies and AI companies, and they are going to put these factories right on your land, and you are going to go obsolete. So congratulations, and you effed around and found out.
So let me get this straight. In the 2024 election, nearly 78% of farming counties voted for Trump. That's not my opinion, that's the data. Farmers were some of the strongest supporters for him. But now, China, which used to buy more than half of America's soybean crops, said, nope, not anymore. Makes sense. And they've canceled purchases, suspended imports from major U.S. exporters, and turned to Brazil instead. And that leaves American farmers with silos full of unsold crops and no buyers. And what are those farmers doing? They're turning to Washington and saying, please bail us out. They want billions in government money again. But here's the thing. Many of these same folks cheered when Medicaid was cut. They fought against universal health care. They shouted that school lunches shouldn't be free, and they called welfare a handout. But when they need help, suddenly it's not socialism. Suddenly it's survival. Now, I want to pause here because I know not every farmer voted for this. There are farmers who saw it coming, who knew this was a bad deal, and they're being dragged under too. They're in the same boat as everyone else who warned about this and didn't vote for it. And for them, it's devastating. They're staring down, losing their farms, their livelihoods, everything. That's awful, and it deserves to be acknowledged. But for those who did cheer these policies on, who turned a blind eye to the warnings, who laughed when others lost healthcare and told them they needed to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, or didn't want food programs, your hatred, your racism, and your refusal to see the writing on the wall, that's what landed you here. And now you're finding out just how expensive that ignorance really is. So yes, you're in a hard position, and you probably feel like you're about to lose everything. But I hope you remember this moment, because the same government safety nets that you've mocked, that you've judged, and you've denied others are now the only thing you're hoping will save you. That's not rugged independence. That's not free markets. That's hypocrisy. And it's costing all of us.
Hi guys, welcome back once again to my YouTube channel. Remember, if it was for the first time I come across my video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share. Okay guys, in today's clips, all the credits goes to the original creator of the video, and it's really funny how white farmers and Maga farmers that really came out in a large number, and they're really asking for hangout. They're really asking for socialism, and they want the government to bail them out. And funny thing is that when other people were really asking for this, they really came out in large number and told the people to really work very hard to pull out the socks, because these people, they were really suffering because of how maybe the cost of living has risen up, and because of how things it has really changed drastically. But the same people, they really told them to pull out the socks, and black people really came out in large number and they voted to make these people stay in business. They voted so that at least they can protect these white farmers. At least they cannot lose their farms. At least they cannot go bankrupt. But instead, these people, what they did is they voted so that to hurt the people that didn't look like them. They voted so that they voted out of hatred, and they voted out of racism. They voted against their own interests, and right now they're asking for government to bail out. And I really remember on when black farmers have been systematically denied access to USAID loans, disaster relief, and subsidies for generation. We do remember black farmers made, like a long time ago, like in 1920, black farmers made up 14% of USA farmers. Today it's less than 2%, largely due to racist leading practice, land theft, and legal exclusion. Bailout going mostly to white farmers without correcting these past wrongs are seen as continuous legacy of unequal treatment. Yeah, we have all seen how white farmers, they have really been treated wisely. They've been the one who have been giving this bailout from government. But when black people really came out, they were being denied. And right now, they're really crying out for help of how they're really losing their farms, of how they're going bankrupt. And these are the same people who really voted for this. These are the same people who wanted this. These are the same people who wanted this new administration. Black people really came out in large number and they tried to warn them, but they couldn't have listened. They voted to hurt black people. They voted against their own interests. Right now, they are going bankrupt. Right now, they're crying out of help of how they are really losing their farms. But black people, they have just like black people ain't complaining about anything because they saw what's really coming and they really want them, but they couldn't have listened. Remember, Remember in the year 2018 to 2020, when Trump traders war with China and the COVID-19 pandemic collided, and the USA government spent record-breaking amount of taxpayers' money to bail out mostly white farmers, not black farmers. This is what wasn't just economic; it was deeply political, racial loaded, and strategically timed. Let me tell you how it went down. What happened? Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese import to punish China for unfair trade practice. China retaliated, hitting USA agriculture export, especially soybeans, corn, pork, and dairy, which major American exports and grown largely in white rural estates. Who got hurted? USA farmers were hit hard. They lost their biggest customer almost overnight. Soybeans export to China dropped by over 70% in 2018. The bailout. To soften the blow, the Trump administration launched the Market Facilitation Program, 28 billion bailout funded without congregation approval through the USAID Community Credit Corporation. Most of that money went to large-scale white-owned farmers in politically key states like Wisconsin, and Nebraska. Nebraska's farmers are the one who really benefited a lot. Another thing, criticism. Disproportionate aid. Big farms got the most, small and minority-owned farmers got little. It was seen as buying politics loyalty in Trump's rural base. Many called it a band-aid for a self-inflicted wound through this trade. During COVID-19, what happened? COVID disrupted food supply chain, slaughterhouses closed, demand from restaurants plummeted. Farmers were dumping milk, plowing under crops, and euthanizing livestock while people were going hungry. The bailout. Trump rolled out coronavirus food assistance program, provided 23 billion. Again, the largest share went to large white-owned farmers growing commodity crops like corn and soy. Small aid farmers struggled to access this program due to paperwork, lack of relationship with the USAID office, and systematic barriers. We have all seen how small farmers really suffered a lot to get this bailout. And right now, we have all seen these are the same people who want the government to help them to bail out their farms. So black people, they really came out in large number, and they are really just struggling to this. Like, why? Why when other people really wanted for hangout, these farmers really came out and told them to work very hard. But right now, it's their turn. So socialism, it just can't apply when Americans really need it. Let me know in the comment section what you really think about these white Maga farmers wanting the government to bail them out or wanting this for socialism. And remember, this video is just only for educational purpose. And if it was the first time I come across my video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you whenever you are. One love.